Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hopefully you are doing well. I am John, and thank you so much for coming along. Sorry for the delay here. We're a little later than I was planning, which is usually a 10 o'clock show. Given the holiday is tomorrow, and oh, by the way, the show is normally tomorrow. So for those of you who are joining me today, much appreciated. But tomorrow is a national holiday here in the United States, and so we are not going to get a chance to do that because there will be other things going on. I'm just going to check the stream here real quick and make sure. Yep, I can hear myself. So hopefully the levels are acceptable for you. Let me know in the chat how things sound and look. Always a pleasure to have you guys along. Hey, Randy says, hey, I've been looking forward to this one. Well, thanks for coming along, Randy. It's a little strange that Socials has changed the name to our handle instead of our actual name. So normally, mine would say John Knutson, but instead it just says at John O'Canute, which is fine. But now I'm going to have to learn all your handles as well. So, hey, I loved your previous presentation on this topic. It was very helpful and practical. Wow. I'm not too sure what I said that was so helpful and practical, but I really appreciate the compliment. Thank you from my friend out in Western Canada. Sadly, I'll have to probably be called away to work. Well, that can be a good thing. Being busy is a good thing. I always believe that. So that's okay. A pleasure for you to join us, even for the beginning of the show. I appreciate that. And then it was said, so I take it this is a live show? Yes, given the topic. We are definitely going to be 100% live today, this is happening in real time. So you're with about a 20-second delay over to YouTube. So if you refresh your YouTube screen, you'll be about 20 seconds later than what is actually happening in real life. And that is purely for the encode and the buffer that goes on between vMix and YouTube. Now, I'm also available over on Keystone AV Networks on YouTube, and I'm available over on Twitch as usual, which doesn't have a huge following these days because this is a very unique show. But maybe I should post something over on maybe I should post something over on LinkedIn, because let's create a post, start a post, and we're going to share this. Copy that. Let's just share the show, and I need to pull up my RTA. Chat about live streaming versus pre-recorded live stream. Yoink. And we're going to just post that right now. Boom. So no thanks. Don't want to do that. And I'm going to repost this as myself, just so... how do I do this? Oh, here. Cancel, discard. All right, so now just going to drop this over on LinkedIn and see if we can catch up anybody that's cruising around over on there. Show as a member. And current posts, where are they? Where are my current posts? I just posted, and it should definitely show up, right? It always I find that over on LinkedIn, I don't know if you guys feel this way. Over on LinkedIn, it takes a hot second for... join me on YouTube right now. We're a live show. I don't know how you guys feel about LinkedIn. I find that it is a little slightly delayed when it comes to like posting things. You'll notice, by the way, if you follow Keystone AV Networks over on LinkedIn, you'll notice I've been posting things from last week's show. Not too sure how much of this week's show, but last week there were a lot of little snippets that I could use to make announcements. And part of it is because of Keystone AV Networks and the certifications that I've gotten over the past 2 weeks, most of them through Netgear AV. And so I am all certed up with Netgear. I have taken their AV. And I can do you one better. Boom. So I am a level 2 certified Netgear AV tech, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, but I made this little overlay to help illustrate some of this. I am a switching for AV over IP certified tech as well, which is a different certification, but it's a good comprehensive course. Then I am a Dante Level 2 certified person. I don't know what the tag is after that, but Dante Level 2. And lastly, I am a Netgear Drive partner. So I'm going to let that float around there on my overlay. I made this little circular overlay that will put that information up there so that you guys can appreciate that. But there you go. There's my little fun little graphic that I got going on in conjunction with all the other things. But that's all my recent certifications, and those certificates are available over on LinkedIn if you want to take a look at those. If you don't believe me, they are real certs and they have been completed. So I add that to the value of Keystone AV Networks. And if you haven't followed me over there on LinkedIn, check me out. Keystone AV Networks is the name, and I can show you what it will look like if you come over there. So if we yoink, so it'll look like this. That's my little company, and it's fun to have that, and you'll get all my updates and things like that. That's kind of the business side of what it is that I'm doing. So check me out. Good times. And what is it that Keystone does? Well, Keystone is a top-to-bottom AV over IP network consultation company. So I can help you start conversations. I can help you estimate budgets. I can help you design networks. I can help you customize those networks, implement those networks. I can help you purchase that networking equipment. I can do a whole bunch of stuff. So give you best practices for AV over IP. If you don't want to necessarily go through and get all of the certs that you're seeing here, no problem. That is what I do. That's why I have this little company. And yeah, it's going to be great. So just kind of kicking off. And I've had a few. I started this because I had some guys asking for help, and so I remoted in, whatever. And then my wife was like, "You need to probably set this up as a little company." So I did, and that's what it is. So follow along for all the fun little updates as we develop as a AV over IP deployment and integration company. In lockstep with that, I'm in the process of building a workspace here at my house on my property that will become kind of the heart of Keystone AV Networks, but also this show will move there. That garage build, I'm calling it the barn, that building is going to have an office space, and in that office space we'll have a recording space, both video and audio. So it'll be a quiet room, insulated, updates to come as that goes along. This week, I have been busy putting that all together. And first thing, I just want to jump here and make sure I'm caught up in the chat. So Marie Smith says, "Hey, how are you doing? Hey, are you there? I am here." And the show is live. So there you go. So over on... here, yeah, I can show you some photos. So this week, progress on the barn. Electrical has been the name of the game, and I have been trying to get things installed and ready for the wiring to go in. And so we do have an actual conduit that is installed. I can show you that. That little conduit comes out of the side of the barn and underground and goes over to my main electrical panel. Now you may notice that it doesn't quite reach, and apparently my measurements, they had to be dug deeper than I had originally thought. So that ended up being needing a little more than I had, but I've got a part on order that might work. The distance between that pipe and my electrical panel is 22 inches. I have like a it's like an extension pipe that you can fit onto one side and then you can pull it down as far as you need. I don't think actually it's going to be big enough, so I'm probably going to end up going back to Home Depot on Sunday and getting the rest of the pipe that I need for this, because then I'll be done. But it has been dug out and trenched and all that good stuff, and so there's the electrical, and then there is my panel. Now you'll notice on the first picture, this sweep goes up and then into the wall directly, and then it's been watertight sealed and everything like that. This is the other side of that wall, and you'll notice there at the bottom of the panel, it comes in directly, which is actually a feature that I'm kind of hyped about, because I didn't want the panel. I didn't want the hole to like come in down here and then go up into the panel. I wanted it to have a clean install in the back, and so that's what I've done. That's a 2-inch hole, 2-inch PVC that comes in electrical conduit, and then I'm going to run wires. Now, wires are another investment that we're going to have to make probably sometime middle of next month. Just budgeting wise, I just got to pace myself here. But if this sweep is completed, which it should be by Monday of next week, then we're ready to pull wire. And so we'll be able to pull wire into here, and then we can start running wire through the building, which is kind of the next thing. Now, I have a lot of 14.2, which will be for my 15 amp plugs. I'm going to have to get some 20 amp wire, but yeah, we're doing all right. I've also got the grounding wire, so that's a separate project on its own. Tennessee electrical code, as I understand it, requires you to have a separate grounding system for a subpanel like this. And so your main 100 amp service comes over from your main panel, but then your grounding bar, which is the one there on the right-hand side, that grounding bar needs a separate grounding system. And so you need to run grounding rods. They're 8-foot rods, and they need to be, there's 2 of them, and they need to be 6 feet apart. And so they need to go outside and driven into the ground. Now, there are ways of doing that. I'm going to end up renting a tool to do it. We'll see how difficult it is. But I've already got pretty significant blisters on my hands that are causing issues. You can see it there. It's a doozy. And of course, it's always the one that's underneath my wedding ring. And so when I close my hand, I am reminded that it is there. The ring and the blister. So anyways, that little project's coming along. That took me one day to kind of do. Yeah, I had to hand dig down. And the next one of the next electrical projects that I'm going to be doing is a similar sweep system, but into the crawl space, and that will be where my fiber optic cables are going to go into the office space. So the next sweep that I need to install is a 1-inch conduit, where I'm going to be running 4 cores or two pairs of fiber, maybe 3 pairs of fiber into the office space. And so I have to determine where that needs to be, but it's going to go down, again, 18 inches to avoid the frost line, which frost doesn't really happen too often here in Tennessee. Snow rarely happens. And so I'm not worried at all about any of that, but I do need to go down and avoid the drain lines, which are in the proximity of where that pipe will be. So that will be the next fun little project that I've got going on, and I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to get the fiber lines in there, because that means that networking is almost ready to go, and I can start building out the office. I don't need to run the networking yet; it can be done later. But if it's all installed and ready to go, then I'm happy with that. I'll be ready for that to. Yeah, I'll be. It's one less thing off the list, so all good. Someone says, "Oh, that's good. Good. I'm glad that you're on here." Hey, this seems like a pretty cool stream. Where are you from, if you don't mind asking? Well, I'm from all over the place. I currently live in Tennessee, but I had lived in Michigan for 15 years, and before that, I was from Ontario, so Ontario, Canada. So yeah, I've got a broad range of places I've been. I don't know if I belong anywhere, but all good. Same idea for me. I have to finish my Microsoft certification at my day job first. Just did NDI, working on BrightSign, Netgear, Novastar. Video Wall is next. Right on. Hey, that's cool. Oh, I appreciate that. I'm glad you feel that way. Yeah, so that is the barn project, and that's kind of as it is right now. That's kind of the state of things. One of the most exciting things about this whole project entirely is that my truck now has a home inside, and that has been a long time coming. But my F-150 actually fits in a garage space, and all of my things that I need stored also fit in that space, which means that now my wife actually gets to park her car in a garage, which is also very exciting. So this space hasn't been totally tidied up yet, but it is slated to be. Now, the barn's not done yet. I'm expecting actually shingles to be delivered today, which is the final step of the barn build. And then once the shingles are on, the construction side of things are done. So I'm hoping that they're going to be delivered this afternoon, waiting to hear from the delivery guy. Hopefully he doesn't call while I'm on a show. And with that being said, I'm going to turn off this and leave the main screen on so I can see if somebody calls. But anyways, yeah, so my wife's car fits in a garage, which is awesome. And that's been a long time coming. But she's pumped about that because the cool weather is now, on its way. So good times, great oldies. Alrighty, let's get into today. It's currently 11:15. You guys are going to be a couple of seconds delayed, but it's currently 11:15. So let's kind of get into what it is that I wanted to cover today, and it kind of stems out of some of the live shows that we saw happen in the NDI space over the past NDI November thing that went on. And there's been a lot of useful videos produced, some in the NDI industry, that have been enlightening. And the ones that I found particularly engaging were the ones that were live. So the ones where you have live questions coming in and, we can pull up actual comments and bring them into the show. So this is happening inside the social media chats, which are being pulled from YouTube on the on my John O'Canute site, and then also over on Twitch. And as people say things, I can see them preemptively in VMix socials, and then I can bring them into the show. So if somebody has questions or whatever, I can show those pretty much live. And what I like about that is it creates a live element of it. It doesn't feel canned, like a canned response, right? But that you and I can actually interact and have a conversation about whatever it is that we're talking about, which is, I think, at its core, what that live element is talking about when we say we're going to live stream. Now, schools live stream their sports events, or churches live stream their Sunday morning services or their Bible classes or whatever it is. And that live element gets a little bit skewed because although the event might be happening live, it's not really live in the sense that you can't interact with it. And so you might be able to jump in the chat, but who's reading the chat? Is that being brought in as a live element? And I think that the line gets blurred a little bit when I talk to places like congregations and schools and AV installers. They say, well, we want to live stream. It's like, well, what do you want to live stream? Well, we want to live stream, our video podcast. It's like, okay, but what about it makes it live? Is it that it's happening right now? Or is it that it's going live at a specific time? And then we get into this conversation, like the title suggests of today's show, the difference between live streaming and a pre-recorded show. Now, where I work at our Safe Harbor, we have both. We do both things. And we've been kind of figuring it out as we go along. I have been on with this company full-time here in Tennessee for a year and a half. But the question becomes, when do you use the live element and when do you do the upload video element? Because I think that there's a specific time and place to live stream, and then there is a much broader time and place to use the upload, pre-recorded option. Here's where some of this stems from, and it's not good or bad. It's just kind of where my brain is in this conversation. At the nonprofit that I work for, at the church that I work for, we have been using a service called Resi, which is a great encoding service, provides a resilient live streaming option. So when you go live, perhaps you have a break in the in your internet service or whatever, it can survive. You can set it up to survive multiple minutes. And what it does is creates a buffer, right, that allows you then to live stream to YouTube or wherever. And if for some reason the live stream gets cut or you have bad internet signal or whatever, the buffer will build up inside of the encoder. And as soon as your internet comes back on, it will upload that information so that there is no break in the service, which is great for churches because oftentimes churches don't have great internet. And so a system like Resi can use that fluctuating internet to still create a very consistent stream. And quite frankly, when we started, oh, that's hilarious, by the way, that I'm getting a thing from YouTube saying, hey, we're not getting enough video to maintain smooth, so users might see buffering. Anyway, so here we go. This is live without Resi. So the key here is Resi provides an opportunity for you to live stream and push to your channels, to all your social channels, or RTMP streams. And they show up on your social media as live. Okay, so they have the live element. They're under the live tab on YouTube. They show up on Facebook as live. And recently, not recently, but ever since I came on, we were doing Sunday mornings live, but then we were also pushing our Monday, Wednesday, and Friday like Bible studies out live as well through Resi so that we could schedule them. I mean, that was the reason, right? Now, that's fine, except they're not live. Those Bible classes are not live. They're all pre-recorded. So it goes into the live algorithms, but they're not live, which means that, especially on the YouTube side of things, that YouTube is a video, almost like a video repository. It's like where everybody goes to put their videos for viewership, but they prioritize polished videos. They do not prioritize live video like they do the videos tab. So if you go to YouTube, if you go to your own channel, you'll notice that there's a videos, and then there's a live and a shorts and a playlist and a podcast. Those are all different tabs. Well, they all have different algorithms. And the video tab is the big one. That's the one where you want the majority of your content to go, because that's where when you search for something, it's going to find those videos first and produce those. So if you're pushing everything live to YouTube or everything live to Facebook, then when people go to search for you, it's going to look like you don't have very many videos, like you don't have very much activity on your channel, but you have thousands of videos under the live feed. Those algorithms are different. They behave differently on YouTube. And if you're trying to get discovered or grow or find subscribers, people that might be interested in your content, you want to be focused on growing the video side of things and then reserving your live services for your actual live events. Now, I see this happen all over the place where people are pushing things as live events, but they're really not. They're actually pre-recorded events, and they're pushing them live as if it's a live, it's a live transmission. Where I have a problem with it is, not a problem, but where I think it misses the mark is when it's live. I think, just based on anecdotal information, I think personally that people are expecting to be able to interact with the live stream, that they're expecting to be able to do a responsive conversation inside the live element. And a way that churches, I think, miss, even though they are live on Sunday morning, I think they miss it by not offering some sort of interactive live element with their at-home audience or wherever they are. So if you're tuning in, let's just say, in a very common scenario that I hear about is, well, we have members who are at home or in the hospital or maybe in retirement care or something that can't come to our congregation anymore. And so we want them to at least still be able to tune in and get the lessons that we're providing. The thing about live, though, is that live should provide a two-way communication between the people that are at home in the chat and whatever's happening in the building. And so if you're providing a windowed opportunity, a way to look through the back of the auditorium, right? Everybody's seen those live streams where you're looking kind of through a window into what's going on inside the sanctuary. If you're providing that, then there's really no different from the viewer from watching it live or watching it after the fact. The only difference for them is perhaps participating, doing the physical participation, whether you do communion or perhaps you sing or you pray or whatever it is that the live element is for that church service, they're participating at the same time as the congregation is, but the actual getting of the content doesn't really matter whether or not it's at 10 a.m., or whether it's at 4 p.m. So, why do something live? Why not, if you're using those resources in those times, why not record something at high quality where you don't have to necessarily have that gamble of it being live and put it up 2 hours later of high quality, like have somebody video edit it after the service is over. Instead, we just kind of hit record and we show a PTZ in the back of the sanctuary, and you can barely see who the person is up on stage. You can barely hear what the person is saying, and the production value is pretty low. Whereas YouTube is going to prioritize high production value, clear audio, interactive, all of that sort of stuff. So when we think, man, we got to get us up on YouTube to stream what we do live, there's more to it than just turning on the stream. There's a whole bunch of other live elements that you need to be thinking about. Now, one way to do this, by the way, is to create a live interaction with whatever's happening inside the live event, whether it be a church service or a sporting event or whatever. Create a live element where people can interact with what's going on with the live stream. Now, to stay with the example of the church function, I will tell you what it is that we've tried to do. There are free services out there where people can log in besides the live chat and can ask questions or participate in surveys or polls or whatever. And there are free services, in particular the one that we use is called Slido, which is a service that lecturers typically use with big audiences. They put a big QR code up. You scan the QR code, it logs you into the Q&A. You register your name with your email usually to kind of keep it in-house, and then you ask your question or you participate in the poll or whatever. On Slido is a great place where you can pretty much for a free trial include some sort of interactive level of communication between those people that are watching the live stream while it's happening and the people at the soundstage or in your production area. What we do is we have a section at the end of our service that is a live Q&A. And so anything that our minister has said during his service, during his sermon or his lesson that people have questions about, they can put them in the Q&A of Slido, and then our minister will actually answer those live at the end of service, which creates a bit of this touch point, right? Like I was talking about with this, where if somebody says something in the chat and I think it's good for everybody to see or for a question for me to answer, I can bring it in, show where it came from, read it off the screen, essentially, and then answer it live. And that means that the chat box that you are able to access on YouTube and over on Twitch, I can actually interact with it directly and kind of keep an eye on it, monitor it, make sure that it's not getting out of control. So when other live streams, again, to continue this conversation about churches, when churches are doing a live event, which is maybe Sunday morning for their service, one thing that I strongly suggest is at least have somebody moderating the chat, meaning that when people are logging in, hey, I'm at home sick today, looking forward to seeing, to hearing the message or whatever, somebody needs to be in the chat saying, hey, how's it going? Sorry to hear that you're not feeling well. Thank you for joining us online. That little touch point means that the live stream is more than just a window into the back of the auditorium. All right? It actually makes it live. Something is living and breathing inside that live element. So when you do live streams, remember, what makes it live is actually that people can interact with it, that it's happening in real time, and that when people send me a message, I can pull it into the show and we can interact together and we can actually have a conversation. Otherwise, it doesn't really make any difference in the grand scheme of things whether or not it was live or whether or not it was pre-produced. Now, going to the discussion about our safe harbor and us pushing things, we were pushing things live because of a scheduling function that Resi has. You can schedule these videos to go live at this time. The problem is that it goes live on our channel and it gets hidden under the live tab, and that's not really what we want. So we've recently started transitioning over to a schedule a social media scheduler, which will post the videos on playlists, but as videos themselves and not as live streams. And so we'll continue to use Resi for our live streams, but then we're going to start using a social media manager to post things in proper playlists, but also post them as videos onto our channels instead of posting them as live streams onto our channels. And that will then fix that whole algorithm problem that we were kind of having, because it's hard for people to find our content because most of it is considered live and it's not actually videos that are done for our YouTube and Facebook page. So there's the whole premise of the conversation, the difference between live streams and a pre-recorded live stream. Now, I'm interested to know your thoughts because, as you can imagine, I have a whole bunch. I'm going to leave names and companies out of this next statement, but I have watched live shows that were clearly pre-produced. And what was strange about the most recent ones that I've seen was there was an upfront live element. They had somebody waiting in their Zoom call or whatever it was that they were doing, and they had them waiting in the wings, and the guy came on, he introduced the show, we're really excited to have this guy on, and they brought him on, and he actually discussed back and forth. It was clearly not scripted, and he did a live demo, which means that there was a chance that it was going to fail. Now, when I did my live show back in the early Bird Dog days, right, on my Bird Dog John site, part of the shtick that I thought was true, and this comes from a philosophy from Tom Sinclair over at Eastern Shore Broadcasting, that we're going to do it live, and if it fails in our lap, it fails in our lap. There was a risk involved because it wasn't polished, right, and there was a good chance it wasn't going to work right, and we were going to have to try and figure it out and either fix it or let it fail in front of us. Now, corporations don't like that idea. I can tell you that with certainty. They don't like that idea because they don't want to look like the product that you're showcasing isn't finished or isn't ready for production. But I think that you earn a high level of credibility, and I think you earn a not just a high level of credibility. I think you earn a different level of credibility that cannot be earned by polishing a video where it's like, let me show you how to use the product, and you switch over to the screen and then it is perfectly executed and it does everything you expect it to and there are no surprises. I think you lose that authentic, like you're a real person feeling. And maybe from a marketing stance, you don't want any mistakes. You don't want any chances of this thing going wrong. But then it turns into a sales pitch. And I don't know if you're like me, but I tune out for sales pitches. And this was an interesting thing about those broadcasts that happened a week or two ago that I watched was the live demo. That was a conversation between the host and the guy showcasing his products. The live demo felt very real and raw, and then it worked. His products worked, and he openly admitted, I'm not ready to show this because I need to work out some stuff, but let me show you these things that I got working. And I believed it. I was like, yeah, this is a real thing. Like, this guy has credibility because he's showcasing this thing live, and he's willing to say this other thing's not ready yet. Then that segment ended, and it transitioned over into, hey, now we're going to go over to this conversation that so-and-so had with so-and-so. And it was a pre-produced video, and there was no live chat element, and there was no back and forth with the audience. And it was clearly a conversation that had happened at a pre-recorded time, or at a preset time. And it was a pre-recorded video. And it was sterile. It felt salesy. And I could tangibly, and it was very palatable that the conversation was not happening in real time organically. That it was like, yeah, let me go over and show you this product. We're really excited about this. And then it was like the screen perfectly transitioned over to him, and And it was like, let me do this and let me do this. Let me show you this. I'm really excited about this. And it was like, check, 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 check on a list. And the conversation, there was no interjecting. Hey, what about that? Or show me how that works again. Or, hey, I think I'm confused about. There was none of that. It was just a sales pitch from a CEO. And it felt bland. And I didn't feel like it was genuine at all. And I think that's a bigger problem than companies realize, is that there is a desire, especially in the AV over IP range, but there is a desire to watch people have real conversations and for them to potentially not be perfect. But you gain a level of credibility that you cannot get with a sales pitch. And I think that the danger becomes when you think that sales pitches is all the customer wants, you lose a large portion of your audience because it just becomes another sales pitch. And quite frankly, we're sick and tired of being pitched to. We don't want that anymore. We want to see it really working. We want to hear about a conversation that's actually happening, a conversation that you can even go back in the past and look at and say, yes, these two guys, and they were interacting with the audience online, and there was a chance for this thing not to work correctly, and it went great, or it didn't go great. That gains so much more traction and credibility than a sales pitch. So, I don't want to drive home this point anymore because I think that I think I've done enough. But I almost, but the last thing I'll say about this, because I'll wrap this up. We're at 11, almost 11:40, 11:35. I'll wrap this up, and then interested to know if anybody has any suggestions in the chat. There's just a couple of you guys hanging around, but interested to know if you have anything to say about this. I think that properly and appropriately using the live function of YouTube or of social media is more important to get right than just getting content up there. If you're going to do a live show, have a live host. Have somebody that's actually live right then, and people can tune in, whether it's 3 people or 10 people or 100 people. They can tune in and they can interact with you live. Make it so that there's a purpose for spending time coming to the live stream when it's live. If you want to talk to me, show up when I'm live, and I will talk to you. I promise you I will. I'll put your comments up on the screen if I think they're appropriate and I don't need to moderate you. Come to the live show, interact with me. I would love that. If you can only catch me later, it was a live show, and you saw me interact with people live, and you saw that element, that my personality interacting with the people that were there in the chat. But you came to the live show after the fact, and you got to watch what happened live. That real element has a lot of purpose and weight to it that needs to be considered heavily from a corporation standpoint. It needs to be live. There needs to be a chance where here's a great example. Bird Dog occasionally has a live show, and Anthony is the host for it, and they have Christian Frink on to demo things. And Christian is not afraid to say, you know what, I don't know about that yet, or I don't know if that feature's fully in tune yet. So Anthony will ask, and Christian will respond with a genuine answer. That is so much better than if Christian were to say, I'm going to showcase these 6 features, and then this is what I'm going to say about these. This is how long I'm going to take on each of those, and that's all I'm going to say about this product. That's much different than coming on and Anthony asking questions kind of off the cuff and being like, hey, like, because Anthony is a video guy. He's a video audio guy, and he does this for a bunch of different companies. And so where he comes from in the industry, he's going to have questions that other people are going to have. And so having Christian respond to those in real time is what makes that show worth showing up live, because then I can ask a question live and they might answer it. That's the purpose of live. Otherwise, if you're not actually utilizing the live function, my suggestion is focus on making really great content and uploading it after the fact. And this goes out to churches. Like this is one of my things that I think churches could get a greater reach if they weren't so focused on the live stream. They could make a better product and probably reach a wider audience if they focused on creating videos and uploading them after the fact. And if you're worried about congregants not getting to see your Sunday morning service at the what we've oddly coined the magic hour, which is usually 11 o'clock, if you're worried that, they need to attend church at the magic hours, just say it will be available at noon on Sundays. And then they can still attend and watch a much better, much more polished product if you record at 10 or record at 11, polish for 30 minutes, export, render, and post it. So say maybe 1 o'clock is when our service will get, but then you could record all channels. You could go through and cut and edit and put together a high quality production and make it something that's really genuinely worth watching instead of a live element that has no real live elements that is poorly produced in real time. It's not a good use of your resources. My advocacy is you probably end up spending the same amount of time and resources doing a live stream or doing a finished product. But the finished product, polished product in the video tab would be so much more worth watching because then you don't have the high stress of pulling it off all live all at the same time. So I feel like making the schedule available is equally important as live or recording. Hang on, let me back that up. I just feel like making the schedule available is equally as important as live or recording. No one can interact if they don't know that you're broadcasting. On the other hand, uploaded content can be viewed spur of the moment with no interaction. Agreed. So if I were to be put in charge of a technical end of a brand new congregation who wants to grow their content, grow their audience, wants to be available to the online community, but also the community that they're in, I would say we have an in-seat service that happens at 10 o'clock, and then we have that same in-seat service is available to view online at noon. And what I would do is we would record at 10, from 10 to 11 or 11:15. I would record all channels. I'd have 3 cameras and a feed, an audio feed from the board, either a main mix or a aux mix that I would handle, and record all those channels. Bring those into iMovie or DaVinci, the free version of Resolve, or Final Cut Pro, or whatever your preferred thing is. Bring those all, record. Stop recording. Bring them all into DaVinci. Go through the service. Do some simple cuts, simple edits. Run over to Canva. Hit render. Let that render. Go over to Canva. Create a thumbnail. And then post it at 1 o'clock. Upload it. Schedule it for 1 o'clock. Every day at 1 o'clock, here is our high quality 4K, stream, or 1080p 60 or 1080p 30 stream. That is, I think, so much better in terms of you're going to get a whole lot more traction on YouTube. And as people see high quality video, they're more likely to watch something else again, like watch the next one that comes out. So you could say to your at-home members, hey, it will be available in the afternoon, but it'll be a higher quality than if we were just to do a live stream at 10 o'clock. I don't see how that's any different, other than maybe you think everybody taking communion at the same time is somehow a community, like even people at home is like a community-driven thing. The theology there gets a little muddy, and I actually don't think that it is beneficial to the people watching at home any more than taking it 3 hours later. So again, we can argue on the theology of that, but from a technical side, I would much rather give the church member, even if it's just the shut-ins, giving them a much better viewing experience of what happened today than just a fly on the wall because it was live, we went live. I think it's a better use of resources, and honestly, I think it will help the people at home really feel more connected with what happened on Sunday morning than if we just, we pulled it off live again this week. Now, if you have a technical crew like the soundstage where I work, I've got camera operators and I've got an audio engineer and I've got somebody running slides and I've got somebody running lower thirds and I've got graphics and I've got, like, it's a full-on live production. That live production, that's the one I want on the live tab, that one. But I don't want the pre-recorded Bible classes on the live tab because I want those over on the video section where YouTube can put those into the algorithm and help people find them easily. So we have corrected that recently. This week we've been transitioning over to a social media manager. We're looking at a couple of options, and I need to talk to my guy today before the holiday tomorrow to make a decision on that. But the overarching theme is it's not just a matter of going live. Live is more than just we were live during the magic church hour. More of it is what about it makes it live. And the key there is the people online need to be able to interact with whatever it is that's live. For example, Jeremy just posted live all the way. Resi, which is where Jeremy works, Resi is for that function. What I've been saying today, by the way, Jeremy, is live has a specific purpose. Everything shouldn't be live, especially stuff that isn't live, especially with YouTube algorithms. Hey, nice that you're doing this on Wednesday. Yes, that was for all of you who will be eating turkey, watching parades and dog shows and football games tomorrow, which probably will be what I'll be up to as well. But don't forget the Macy's Day Parade begins tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern over on NBC and Peacock, and then followed up by at 11 o'clock? No, 12 to 2 is the National Dog Show, also available on Peacock and NBC Sports. And then after that is endless amounts of football, American football, which I'm not a football fan, but I'll be busy making a dinner and eating pie and doing all that sort of stuff. So eating way too much food. Looking forward to it, though. It'll be a high-protein meal. Resi is some of the best for Sim Live as well. You and I need to talk about this because I just got done preaching a whole half hour as to why I'm not a huge fan of Sim Live, and we're moving away from simulated live, mostly because the live element is, this is my advocacy of this is, we have been doing upload and schedule, which is what Jeremy's pointing to here. We have been doing upload and schedule, but Resi doesn't allow us to upload onto the video tab. It pushes it live every time. And maybe I'm wrong here, but we're moving over to a content scheduler because we don't want it to show up on the live tab. We want it to show up on our video tab on YouTube. And when we schedule, upload and schedule out of Resi, it pushes it to the live tab, which doesn't feed the video algorithm. It feeds the live algorithm, which are two different things on YouTube. What I would love is for Resi to get into the content scheduling game where I can upload and schedule a video to be uploaded as a video to YouTube and to show up on a video playlist under the video tab, not the live tab. Now, maybe I'm missing it because I don't do the scheduling in Resi, but a company like Hootsuite, which is a video scheduler, Recurpost is a video scheduler, Buffer is a media scheduler, which is I use the free one of Buffer to do our video shorts as of right now. And we are currently trying out Social Champ, which is okay, but it seems like it may be a smaller operation. And I've got some tickets and support tickets that I haven't heard back from yet. So waiting to hear that stuff, those answers on there. But Jeremy, maybe you can respond to this. It does, but just in the shorts. That's new. So do you mean it does upload shorts to the shorts tab? The one that I really need, the big one that would actually save me a ton of money, is to upload videos to the video tab in YouTube as a post and not as a live video. We do the live video thing, the simulated live, but it's not feeding the algorithms the way that I want it to. And so we're switching to a social media scheduler for like all of our Bible classes that are pre-recorded. We want them to go up as posts. We don't want them to go up as live lessons because they're not live. There's nothing live about them. Nobody's in the chat. Nobody's monitoring them. Nobody's interacting with people. And the thing I think, this is, in summary, this is the thing that I think is live. Like the reason why you do a live show is because it's live. And yes, correct. Shorts in the Shorts tab. This is a feature request that I'm saying. Okay, great. The thing that I'm saying is live should be live and it should be interactive. Just like me talking to you through the chat, the live element needs to actually be the interaction, and churches need to actually wrap their brains around that. People that are attending their church services live, that are making a point to coming to the service online when it's actually happening, it doesn't really matter because nobody is doing anything with the audience live who are in the chat. So chat moderation is like basic 101 when it comes to live, but also going the next level and thinking about how are people actually interacting with our service while we are live. And my example is we use a Q&A, a live Q&A. And at the end of each live service on Sunday mornings, our minister answers the questions that came in live. Anybody can submit a question. Anyone at the soundstage, anyone at home, anyone online, they can submit their questions at any time during the week. The Slido thing is actually open weekly. But our minister will answer those questions that came in over the week, but during service, he will answer those live at the end of service, as long as they get in on time. Obviously, he can't do it. There's a delay. There's a 2-minute delay with Resi. But we use Slido, and I recommend you check it out if you're interested in a live Q&A service. The free version is actually quite useful. I'm going to log into it here real quick. And we have one coming up in a couple of days. I just reuse the same Slido session for every week so that the QR code that I generate doesn't change. But here we go. You can see this. This is the live Q&A from behind the scenes. And then if I want to look at it as a participant on my phone, this is what people will see when they log in to Slido. So there's a Q&A here, and you can be the first one to ask a question. You just type in your question, and then you can even ask AI to improve the question or to shorten the question because there is a character limit of 160 characters, which keeps it nice. You can also change your anonymous status to your profile. So if I want to say John or JK or something like that, and change it to that, or you can change it to just switch to anonymous and I can ask a question. When our minister is on stage, he pulls up the Q&A the same way that everybody pulls up the Q&A, and when he answers a question, the tech crew in the back of the booth can, well, let's just ask a question. How do I become a member? Okay, and I send that question. When this is the back end of Slido, and when our minister says, oh, somebody asks, how do I become a member? He'll look at the camera and he'll start answering it. When he's about halfway through his answer, I can click on highlight, like, hey, you're answering it right now, or I can click on answered. And you'll notice over on the phone side, which is what my minister is watching, that question disappears off the list. And so if you have multiple questions, it keeps things nice and tidy, so that he can just keep answering the top question and he doesn't have to scroll and figure out where he was at. You have somebody actually managing this, and it's just a website, so I just have it open. And when he starts answering the question, if it's a multiple faceted question, I wait till he kind of gets to the end of the second portion of the question, and then I hit answered. And then when he looks down, the next question is at the top of the list. So it's worked really well. I just realized that I wasn't showing you guys any of that. I'm really sorry. So let me go through that one more time. So I can ask a question. Hey, how do I become a member? Okay, so I can ask it. You can change it here, ask as a person or stay anonymous. I can say send. It shows up here in the list. You can highlight the question, which you'll see here on the phone, which is what my minister is looking at. It gets highlighted. You can upvote a question. So if you also want this question answered, I can click up and it will sort by popular vote. And so the most popular questions go to the top first. And then when the minister is halfway through answering the question, me as a technical side on the back end can hit answered. And it takes it off the phone, takes it off the list. Nobody can see it anymore. And he can continue then to look down. Okay, the next one up on top, the most popular question is da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and he can answer it that way. So that's the easiest way to do that. And it's a great little feature. All right. Does anybody want to say anything about the pre-show, the pre-recorded live stuff and the live element? And one of the big points I made here was when you have a pre-recorded live show, especially when it comes to companies, when you have a pre-recorded live show, it feels very sales pitchy. And I don't know if you're like me, but sales pitch, I'm kind of bored. I'm kind of bored with sales pitches. I kind of tune them out because it feels overly polished. And it feels like there's no way for this to, this feels like this person isn't quite real. You know, hey, let me ask you about this feature on this brand. What's your most exciting feature on your camera? And then it's like, here's my most exciting feature that I was ready to answer this question. And there's no curveballs coming. And there's no, can it do this? And the answer is no. You know, like there's none of that. It's all yeses. It's all, yes, it does that. And oh, that's a great feature, and we already integrated it. And it's kind of like, meh, this feels corny. It feels cheap. It doesn't feel real. None of this stuff feels like real people are behind these products. And that is, quite honestly, part of the reason why you watch something live. It's because you want to be able to watch it screw up. And when it doesn't screw up, that's the cool factor. That's really, well, it's this thing.
That's pretty neat.
It is pretty neat when things work out, when you're live and you do them. Thanks, Jeremy. When you do them live and they work out, that's the thing that sells the product. That's the thing. Not the polished show. That doesn't move products. Because it feels unreal. That's the phrase. It feels, and not, wow, that's so unreal. No, it feels fake. It feels phony. And I honestly don't think it does you any good showcasing the features of a product where there is no risk involved. Right? When it can't go sideways, when it feels overly polished, when it turns into a sales pitch, and quite honestly, nobody wants to watch that. It just doesn't feel real, and so I'm not interested in seeking out those sales pitch shows. It's just boring is what it is. I'm curious. Whoops. I'm not going to show this on the screen, but I'm curious to know what the views, the one that I watched, I'm curious, it's been over a week. I'm curious to know how many people watched it. A week out. Keynote, TikTok. Oh boy. Live shows. No. All right, bear with me here. Stop it. Okay, so this was a live show, right? Yes. Okay, so these ran as live shows. The one that I watched has less than 100 views. Now look, I can't fight this too much because my show does not have very many views every week. However, this channel that did this live show has 10,000 subscribers. And how many subscribers do we think John O'Canute has? I know it's 293. I have 293 humble subscribers. Thank you, everybody who have subscribed. And my shows average almost more than half of what these guys get weekly. I mean, that's not. I don't know. Can we expand this out? Let's say John does get. Let's divide 10,000. Okay, so let's divide 10,000 by 293. So they have 34%, they have 34 times the viewership. So let's just go to my channel here real quick. Here, studio. So let's see here. Keystone AV, Netgear. Oh, those are published videos. Sorry, let me go to my live show. Okay. Last live show had 30 viewers. All right, 30 viewers after a week. So it's not many. It's not many. But for only 293 subscribers, that ratio is not terrible. So if I say 34, they have 34 times the amount of viewers that I have. So if I times 34 by 30, so if I had 10,000 viewers, the assumption is I would have 34 times the amount of live viewers. And let's be fair, it's 29. It's not 30. It's 29. I would be averaging close to 1,000 views a week on my live shows. So if we were to just do apples to apples, whereas the channel that I'm comparing myself to has 10,000 subscribers, but they only got less than 80 views on their live show. And that live show had one live element where people could interact with the actual presenter and 2 pre-recorded sales pitches. I think there's a reason why. It didn't feel live, but it was promoted as a live event. And I think people recognize that. I think people tune out. I would be curious to know what the viewership was during the live portion than during the pre-recorded live portion, I would just be curious. We need to figure out an API so that I can type that in and it cues the soundbite. I could probably integrate that. Yeah, so that you could fire off my sound effects and
how neat is that?
And then that would be pretty neat. Good times. Anyway, so am I completely wrong here? Is your experience different than mine? I mean, I would love to know what you think about watching pre-recorded live shows where there is no live interaction with the guests and the hosts of the live show and everything feels sterile. Does that really grip you? Or perhaps you're tuning into a live stream on a Sunday morning for a church and there is nobody in the chat and there's nobody from the church talking to people online. Like, do you really feel like you're a part of the community because you watched it online? Like, I don't know. I feel like there's something missing there. First of all, there's opportunity missing for sure. But I definitely feel like it's like watching a TV show. How connected do you feel with people that are on a television show? None at all. I think that the chasm is pretty wide, and that needs to be addressed if you're going to run a live show. I think that you need to be able to interact with the people online. Depends on the algorithms that you're playing to. Agreed. It does depend on that. But I think there's more to the live stream than it just going off at a certain hour of the day. I think there's more to it than that. Which is why, by the way, I have to announce, hey, I'm going to move my live stream to a different day when there's a holiday on the day that I normally live stream, which is tomorrow. So tomorrow there will not be a live stream because we're doing it today. But next week we should be back to the regular scheduled programming. Anyway, I'm just curious to know where people come to this conversation. The other piece that kind of, I don't know if it frustrates me, but people that come to live streams, I've worked for multiple churches in this instance where they're just have a good enough mentality, and that to me also makes me want to say, then don't do it. If you're going to if you're gonna go if you're gonna do something and your goal is good enough, don't do it. Stop doing it. Somebody asked the other technician that works full time for Safe Harbor, when will it be when will you arrive? And he said, never. He said, I hope to never arrive, because the technology never arrives. It's always changing. It's always growing. It's always getting better. It's always getting easier. It's always getting more. The bandwidth is getting more resourceful, or the requirements are getting what's the right word? More efficient. That's it. The like Resi. Let's take Jeremy's parent company here, Resi. Resi has made, in the 3 years that I have been using their products, they have made substantial upgrades to their systems. They've been getting better and better and better as time goes along. And that's the nature of a company that's growing and working and thinking and breathing, is that the service should get better over time. It should never become something and then just stay stagnant until it dies out a slow, painful death. And that's the same thing with doing live streams, doing technology. Is unfortunately that when you get into this, it doesn't end. It doesn't stop, and it shouldn't. It should continually be getting better. It should continually be becoming a deeper product, a better product, a higher resolution product. All those elements should be working together to become better and better and better every week. And so if that exhausts you, I strongly recommend that you not invest your life into the AV world. It's like, well, I'm the only tech guy that kind of understands what's going on in my community. It's like, that's a problem. You probably need to go and have a major conversation. Say, look, guys, we need this amount of technology to do what we do on Sunday mornings. Video, maybe lighting, maybe video, audio for sure, computers and internet and technology. We need a handful of things, and we have no resources to run it. I know it. I don't really want to run it. So, we need to find some people that are passionate about it and to do it well. There are so many places out there that are like, well, we need it, but we don't know anybody that can do it. It's like, then you don't really need it. There's this interesting conversation that happened for a church that I know of, and they were buying a new speaker system, and in the men's meeting, the budget meeting, they were talking about how much it was going to cost, and so the quote was like $15,000. And for this church that has a monthly budget, a weekly budget of like $2,000, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for them to invest. And when they were quoting out the system, the salesman, but the technician, said the right thing. He said, Is hearing audio the primary thing that your congregation does in your sanctuary? And the answer was yes. Speakers, ministers, preachers, singing, music, whatever it is that you do there, and announcements, prayers, communal things, all happen over microphones. And so he said, it's the number one thing. It's the number one piece of technology that you use in this space is audio amplification. It should be the biggest investment you have, because if you can't hear clearly what the people are saying, what's the point? What's the point in having this giant room? You should go downstairs into a tiny classroom where everybody's standing really close to each other and you can just talk and hear each other. Otherwise, if you want this big giant space that's open and welcoming, and you have to have the right technology to fill that space. And, this speaker system, which is high powered and has an amplifier and has a proper soundboard and is a real system, but it is the primary function of this room. So when you start talking about other pieces of technology, well, we want to stream it online. Okay. What do you want to stream, though? Well, we want to stream what it looks like in the room, and we want to stream what it sounds like in the room. Okay. Well, to be truthful, the stream that most churches send out, which is a camera up on the back wall that shows a wide angle shot of the whole thing, that is not what it looks like in that room. Yes, it is a picture of what the space is, but that is not what the average person experiences when they come into that room. They're sitting in a chair or a pew or a spot in the auditorium and watching and participating, hopefully, of what is happening in the room. So that is what your live stream should look like. It should not be a wide-angle shot from the back. It should be a shot from where people typically sit. Perhaps multiple shots of eye level of where people sit in the auditorium. It's like, well, how would we do that? People would be walking in front. People would, yes, but that's not what you were asking. You said you wanted people to experience what it was like to be a part of the congregation in the community. Well, people don't stand on the back wall up in the ceiling watching what happens from above. That's not the experience that people have in this. So you need to have a conversation with your church. You need to have a conversation with your leadership, with your ministers. Do you really want people to experience what it's like to be a member here when they attend online? And if they do, we need to put cameras around this auditorium in places where people are so that it looks and feels like what it looks and feels like. Otherwise, you're creating a completely separate experience for the people online than the people at home, which then, if that's the case, why does it need to be at the same time? Because it's a totally different experience. It's perhaps the same words, it's the same songs, but it's not the same experience that people are having inside the room. And so when you live stream, it's more than just turning on a camera and pressing the go button and going live. That's the last piece of the puzzle. You need to seriously ask, what is it that people are coming to when they tune in? Are they actually experiencing what it's like to be a member here? And for most online streams, the answer is no. What they're getting online is a totally different experience than what they would have gotten inside the auditorium. What you want to do is bring those two things as close together as you can so that in the off chance, the 10% of the people that are going to attend your online service and feel like they want to join you in seat, which is a goal that so many churches put out there, but they do not understand what it takes to bridge that divide. In the event that that person, and it's 10% or less, by the way, of online streams inviting people to be in-seat members, it's only 10%. That's the return on investment. So if that's your goal, it's 10% of your online viewers. So if you have 10 people showing up online, one or less people will come to your church within a 2-year span of them seeing your live stream and coming in. And then, by the way, them staying is also about 10%. So it's a very small piece. So if your goal is, we're going to do a live stream so people will feel welcome to come and see us, and we hope that they'll join us in person, you're talking about 10% of the people online, and then when they get there, 10% of those people will stay. That's it. So if you're hoping, now with all that in mind, if you're hoping that those people will feel like, I know what to expect when I show up on Sunday morning, well, yeah, unless you want to hide them up on the balcony next to the camera, and that's what they are doing, then you need to think hard and deep about how it is you're going to produce this online stream. Hey, get this guy a soapbox. Yeah, it's true. I get off on a tangent, don't I? Crowd mics and eye-level cameras. Crowd mics and eye-level cameras. Eye-level cameras, I would strongly suggest do not put them on the back wall. Tell your church that you're going to be putting technology around the auditorium that will be eye level or head level, and to get used to it, because we want the people at home to feel like they're here. So anyway, all right, okay, I can step off my so-called soapbox, and that has taken us past the 1 hour mark. So good times, great oldies, and that is the end of that, which is probably
Good news!
news, everyone!
End of my soapbox routine. Okay. So for those of you who have stuck around, I'm always open. By the way, drop comments in the chat. If you're watching this after the fact, drop comments in the chat, and I can respond to them next week live. But I hope that everybody has had a chance to rethink some of this live element. That's one of those things that I'm like, there's more to it than just going live. That's the last piece of the puzzle. Oh, by the way, Jeremy, this is my Resi swag. So shout out. Can you see the? It's like grayed out, and I have high contrast, so you probably can't see it. But this is my Resi shirt. Shout out to Resi. So hopefully there'll be something at least. Maybe you'll think this guy's completely nonsense and he does not know what he's talking about. Or maybe you'll pause and think, you know what? How are we moving closer towards bringing the people that are live closer to what's actually happening in the auditorium? One of those ways is to do a live Q&A or to do a moderated chat where you can bring in comments just like this onto the screen and people can see interaction. It would be really cool to have like a well, our dedicated Q&A is kind of like what we're doing, but you can definitely submit a question with Safe Harbor during our sermon, and it will be answered at the end of service, which I think is such a cool touch point for people. If they want to interact with us, if they have a question about, and it doesn't have to be about the lesson, it can be about anything, then they can submit them. Of course, we moderate them just to make sure that they're appropriate, so people can't hijack the chat or the Q&A. So there is an administrative element that has to be included, but man, it creates a really cool moment for our audience. Again, people at the soundstage can scan the QR code. I just put a QR code up. People scan it, and it takes them right to the site, and it brings them in as an anonymous person, so they can ask without having to register, without anything. They can ask the question. We moderate those questions at the end of the lesson. I pull them up, I read them through, I clear away any of that are just garbage, which we've never really had that issue, and then I go over my headset, my Dante intercoms, and I tell my camera ops, hey, can you let Patrick know there are 3 questions in Slido? They give him the okay. He goes up and does the Q&A. If there are no questions in Slido, which sometimes happens, then we just skip the Q&A portion and go to the next segment in our service. And then Patrick always does like a final thought at the end, like an admonition. And so he'll mention, hey, there were no questions in Slido, but feel free to ask your questions. And that's usually pretty helpful. So I love that. I think that it makes it live, right? Like it's purposeful, and it means that people at home can interact with our minister directly with him. They can ask their questions and he can answer them, so that doesn't mean that they're so far away that they can't participate. If they have a question, they can ask, and our minister, our lead minister, will answer it live at the end of the service. I think it's such a cool idea. Hey, I saw that nice right away. Nice shirt. Agreed. Shout out to the Resi crew that was at NAB in April. They gave Dave and I some swag, and so I like to represent. Today is a good day to wear it because of the live streaming conversation. But, yeah, good times. Always good. All right. The final reminder is if you haven't done so already, please jump over to LinkedIn and follow my Keystone AV Networks page. You can also look me up as Jonathan Knutson. You'll see my face as my profile picture, but Keystone AV Networks is my little AV company that I use. I have officially got all sorts of certifications, and so I'm level 2 AV Netgear AV certified, which is awesome sauce. I am also a switching for AV over IP certified tech, which is pretty neat. Sorry, I should have.
That's pretty neat.
I'm also a level 2 certified Dante tech, which I'm hoping maybe this week or next week I'll walk through level 3, and that will be an additional certification to my name. And I am a Netgear Drive partner, which is a fairly new, it's a new service from Netgear. What that means is I can help you get your Netgear switches and stuff I can have them shipped to me and customize them for you and ship them to you, or I can help you buy them, get them shipped to you, and then we can remote in and set them up together. Whatever you need, I can help you design your network. I can help you set up your network. I can troubleshoot your network. I can help you with NDI, Dante, data networks, proper VLANing. We can even do things like conceptual concepts, so I can draw out a topographical map of how your network should function. And Netgear provides all of their visual graphics and everything, so I can make it all very product specific. Happy to provide that service to you as a added bonus. And with all these certifications that you just saw go through, I'm not going to raise my rate. I'm going to keep it the same because I think added value is what is key here in this industry. And I hope that you'll consider Keystone AV Networks for your next or current AV over IP project. So thank you so much for coming along for that journey. It is pretty cool to have this little company and to be providing these services to you. So Keystone AV Networks, if you haven't done so already, please follow, and would love to have you along for the ride. And as we do projects, I'll try and post them there on LinkedIn so you can kind of keep tabs on what it is that we're doing. And, always fun. That little page is growing slowly. I really want to get my hands on some Turtle AV gear. But that's to be determined. I am getting set up with Broadfield as my distributor, and so I can also help you acquire some other, if you want to buy your products through me, I can help you do that. And that's one of the places where I can get the Netgear AV switches and stuff through Broadfield. But also I do have I'm a part of their Drive program. So more on that as it develops, and I'm pretty excited about the services that I offer. All right, guys, I do need to kind of get underway here. My wife and kids are home. They're downstairs. It is break this week, the whole week, and so we've been doing various things. I'm in charge of making the Thanksgiving dinner just because that's what I do. It's not like my wife is opposed to it. But today is the challenging day. I am going to try and make pies, and I'm not a great pastry maker. And so wish me luck, because hopefully I don't get too frustrated when pastries don't work out the way that I want them to. But wish me luck. Always a challenge. But we're going to make a couple of pies today. Probably make two. So I was planning on doing an apple pie and a pumpkin pie. So got to make those today, get those ready to go. The bird is in the brine. And so that is currently taking on salt water, and it's like a salt sugar mix. And then the stuffing is done. I pre-do the stuffing a couple days in advance, let it sit, and then I typically don't stuff the bird, but I make it in a dish. So I know it's not everyone's preferred, but we got a family of 4 that we're feeding this time around, and so it should be enough for the 4 of us. So hopefully that has been, hopefully that will go well. Wish me luck. And hoping that the bird and the pies and everything turn out just fine tomorrow. I'll have a bit of an early lunch, I think. Or an early dinner somewhere in the 4 to 5 o'clock hour. Hey, great conversation today. Oh, good conversation today. Thanks, John. Always a pleasure, Jeremy. Thanks for stopping on by. And we need to get you on this show to talk everything Resi one of these days. So that would be great. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you, too. This is my second Thanksgiving, so always enjoy a second round, although we didn't have a turkey for Canadian Thanksgiving. But all good, all good. Have a great week, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. And we will see you next week, Thursday at 10 o'clock, the normal time next week. And we'll go again. So take care of yourselves. Be well. And take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And we'll see you next time around.